You're listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundaram, and with my co-host,
Ashley Case,
we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry. Today's guest is Kathryn Morgan. Kathryn is a bid director with over 14 plus years of experience in bidding, where she started her career in 2006 as a bid coordinator. Kathryn has worked in different sectors, including hard facilities management, private security services, professional services, and soft facility services for companies include Just Ask Estate Services, Mitie, Ernst & Young, G4S. Kathryn completed her APMP Professional certification or accreditation last year in 2019, and she is the recipient of the APMP 40 Under 40 Award in 2017, winner of the APMP UK Writing Award in 2016, and she was also recently nominated into the leadership category for the APMP UK Awards. There's a lot of awards, Kathryn. There is a lot more to talk about you. Welcome to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Perfect. So, Kathryn, let's start from the very beginning. Where were you born? Let's talk about the high school and education.
So I was born in a town called High Wycombe, southeast of England. Pretty standard education, really, Bhaskar. Did my GCSEs, A-levels in English literature, media and psychology, and then I went to university and actually did a degree in film.
Oh, wow.
Which so it's a strange how I ended up in bidding with my educational background, but yeah.
Nice. Psychology in A-levels to film. What brought you into film, or did you actually move away from film into something else, or was it something that you were passionate about?
I am, and I still am very passionate about film. I love watching films. I'm really interested about the sort of psychology behind film as well, and the sort of the cinematography that you have in film. It was just something that at the time I was very passionate about, and to be honest, I didn't really know you could do a degree in film. So when I found the qualification and the degree at the university, I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go because it'd be quite enjoyable. And it was, really enjoyed it.
Nice. So from film degree, what was your very first job?
And my first job out of university was actually a receptionist for Battersea Dogs and Cats Home.
Oh, wow, that one. That's under the Clapham Bridge or Battersea Bridge.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So do you have pets at home now, or?
I've got a cat Mia. She's a rescue cat. She's lovely.
Wow, that's a solid experience very early on. How was it mingling with cats and dogs at the very young age?
It was great. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it can be sort of quite emotionally draining working with rescue animals, especially because not only are you rehoming them, but the people who are bringing their animals in because they've are moving away or they can't look after them anymore. So it can be quite sad. But it was very, very rewarding when the animals got rehomed.
Brilliant. And how long were you there before you took your very first job in the professional career?
So I was there for about probably 9 months, and then I got a job as a receptionist for a company called NG Bailey, which you might have heard of, in Canary Wharf, and that's really where my bid career started. After working as a receptionist there for 6 months, I was asked to apply for a bid coordinator role in the same company and was successful with that, and then that's how it all started.
Wow. So 2006 you started as a bid coordinator, and then you progress all the way to even win international awards in bidding. That's like 14 years now. Let's talk us through your career timeline. How long were you there at NG Bailey?
So I was there for maybe about 3 or 4 years. Left in 2010. I was actually made redundant there, and then I got a job as a bid coordinator for G4S risk management, and that's the arm of G4S that does security in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I was bid coordinator there for a couple of years before progressing to a bid manager there. Quite difficult when you're providing services in different countries, and you're sort of writing the bids and the sales process from the UK, but it was a really interesting role, and that's kind of where I sort of thought I really enjoy bidding. And so from there I moved to EY in 2012, and worked there for a couple of years before I moved back to G4S, but back into the UK arm at G4S Secure Solutions in the UK as a senior bid manager. And then in 2016, I became the head of bid management for Mitie for the integrated FM division. And then 2 years later, ended up as bid director for Just Ask in 2018. And that's where I still am now.
Wow. That's like 14 plus years, as we spoke in the introduction, and predominantly, as you rightly said, in between you was with Ernst & Young, but otherwise, pretty much most of the career in facility services. Yeah. Do you have a memorable or some of the memorable projects that you worked?
There's so many. Probably the most memorable one I have is whilst I was working at G4S, the risk management arm, like I said, the contracts were based in Iraq and Afghanistan. So our holidays were completely different. And I remember one year we had a submission on Boxing Day. So the bid was pretty much finished, but I still had to submit it. And it was in sort of the time where you didn't have laptops or sort of decent Wi-Fi and Teams where you could work from home. So I had to actually run to the office because there was no public transport to be able to get into the office and use my computer to submit the bid on Boxing Day. So yeah, that was very memorable for that reason.
I think in good old days, we always have to do this printed submissions and stuff, but these days it's all online, so at least we don't have the panic of taking and dropping in different places.
Yeah, and being able to work from home makes a big difference.
Totally. We'll come to that shortly, Kathryn. So did you find any difference in facilities industry works very differently, and Ernst & Young, you spent some time in Ernst & Young as well, professional services like pursuit, pitching and stuff. Was there something that you find different there, or was there any similarities?
I think the main difference working at EY as opposed to in the FM industry wasn't so much the service, but more the how the company was made up. So FM companies tend to be sort of private limited companies, whereas EY and the big four are partnerships. So the whole way that company was run was completely different to what I was used to. So, standard, you'd have a CEO or an MD in a limited company, and at EY, there's just lots of partners. And the sort of bidding function there was kind of like you were consultants within EY that then went out and worked for different partners on their bids. So yeah, very, very different to what I was used to in the FM industry, but it was really good to get the experience under my belt, definitely.
100%. So how was Just Ask now? 2 years with Just Ask. I think most other companies that you work with are big corporate companies. Just Ask is a slightly different entity. How are you finding that challenge?
Yeah, it was a bit of a jump for me to move from big corporate companies, like you say, to a sort of small startup. But it's really brilliant company because it's a sort of smaller size to where I've worked before. I have much more of a voice and sort of leadership capability there. The company does some brilliant stuff with social value and the work we do there. For local communities, which is really, really good, and sort of not something I've previously been able to get involved with at the bigger companies. So yeah, really enjoyable working for a smaller company when I've spent most of my career for such big corporate companies.
100%. I will just give a seed in for Ashley so that she could start to think about much more different questions for you. Tell us three things not many people know about you.
So firstly, I'm a twin.
Oh,
So not many people know I'm a twin. I am a green belt in Taekwondo.
nice.
Not many people know about. And I once flew a plane with the red arrows.
Oh, wow. I wish I can dwell on that. Ashley, it's all to you. Pick it up. Oh, wow, that's great. I mean, like twin brother, sister?
Sister.
Sister, nice. Okay. And Taekwondo, how long were you practicing that?
I did it for quite a few years. It was quite intense. I was doing it three times a week at one point, but I sort of had to give it up when I had children because they take up a lot more of my time.
Oh wow, you did it until recently, is it? I thought it was just a school thing.
Oh no, I did it in my adult life.
Oh wow, nice. Okay. And there's the red arrow aeroplane thing?
Yeah, well, I actually won a competition, which is how I ended up doing that. I'm not sort of a pilot in my spare time, but I won a competition to fly a plane with the red arrows. Very, very scary. I'm actually scared of heights, so I'm not really sure why I entered it in the first place. But it was an amazing experience being able to do that, and it was very exciting.
Oh, totally. That's great. In between your career, when you realized that okay, bidding is where you need to go, at what point did you come across APMP?
Probably around 2012 when I was at G4S and I'd become a bid manager. So moving from the sort of bid coordinator position to bid manager position gave me sort of more capability to sort of see how I wanted my team to sort of be trained and looking into qualifications, and that's how I discovered APMP.
Wow. So becoming a member is one, but then going on and winning awards is a different ball game altogether. Which one was the very first award you won part of APMP, Kathryn?
So that was in 2016. I won the Writing Award.
Right, and that was related to a tender at that point, or was it something else?
So it was, you had to submit a piece of writing that you had put in for a tender, and that's what it was judged on.
Wow, 2016 is it? That looks like a very interesting award, 2016 Writing Award. And next year, you won the 40 and the 40.
Yeah. So that was very exciting as well, being able to win that.
That's the inaugural 40 and the 40, isn't it? 2017.
Pardon?
That's the inaugural 40 and the 40.
Yeah, that was the first one. Yeah, that's right.
Ah, Katya, I think I remember. I even messaged you. Yeah, because I was nominated for that as well. Then I was thinking there were like 3 or 4 people in that category. And then I contacted, I remember at that point you were in Mitie, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was in Mitie.
That's nice. Oh, we are buddies there. And Ashley was in the next year. That's good. And 2020, it's amazing. What a beautiful journey you have. 2020, you were nominated for the leadership category. Did you ever thought when you start as a bid coordinator, you will be nominated as a leader in the industry?
No, not at all. And I'm so proud of, like you said, coming from bid coordinator sort of nearly 15 years ago to being nominated for a leadership award in the bidding industry. It's I could have never imagined it. But as everyone says, they fall into bidding, and I've never sort of met someone who's actually had a career plan to become a bid manager. I fell into bidding, and the sort of the specialisms that is involved in bidding align so well with sort of my personality traits and how I work that it's such a great fit for me that I just really enjoy it.
Why do you have to change your character type as you progressed in? Because as they say, the bid coordinator role to a bid manager role to a bid director role, it comes with different types of personalities. It's not the same person. And sometimes people tend not to progress because they prefer to be a bid manager, for lifelong. Very few people who progress to be bid directors and then head of BD or a sales director type of thing. Did you find that you need to tweak your personality, or how did you adopt yourself or fine
Yeah.
tune your own personality to that
Well, yeah,
position?
100%. I've sort of had to evolve as a person. I think the sort of the specialisms I have always been the same, from bid coordinator to bid director, but in terms of sort of being a leader and those skills, it's definitely evolved with every sort of job role I've had, and that progression, as well as my confidence as well. Back in 2006, when I was sort of just out of university in my early 20s, I was, not anywhere near as confident as I am now. I was a very shy person. So it's been a big learning curve for me, and to be able to sort of progress and be able, even sort of doing this with you today is, this is a highlight for me, being able to do things like this. So yeah, I've had some brilliant mentors on the way, and people who I've worked with, and managers who I've worked for, who have been sort of encouraging, and it's almost like they've sort of seen something in me and helped me develop and be able to sort of nurture my skills to become a leader and director in what I'm doing today.
Got you. That's brilliant. And in between, you also manage team, right? Because single-handedly, yes, you're progressing from bid coordinator to a bid manager to a bid director. But I know, regardless whether you have a team or not, you have to work across other colleagues in the company to just work through pull the solution. How was it managing a team, or how was the very first time when somebody said, here we go, so and so person will be reporting into you, and then that evolved into 5 people reporting into you, 10 people reporting into you? How did you work through that dynamics?
Well, it's kind of, it's just something that I've learned. The first time I was told I was managing someone, I was kind of thrown in at the deep end, because my progression from bid coordinator to bid manager happened because my bid manager at the time went on maternity leave, and she said, I think you can sort of take my place for the year I'm off. And there was another bid coordinator who I'd worked alongside, and suddenly she was reporting into me. So never had any sort of formal management training, and it was, I was lucky that the first person I was managing was someone who I sort of had worked alongside, so we were friends, and that kind of helped with developing a management style. But I'm very with the teams I manage, I'm always sort of, I don't like to check on them, micromanage them. That's not my style at all. I have to be trustworthy of the people who work for me, especially when I've had large teams reporting into me as well. And I think the nature of bidding is, you've got to meet a deadline, and you need to be able to be confident in your manager to let them know if you're going to struggle with meeting a deadline, or you're going to struggle with answering questions, or with resource. So I've always tried to make myself as approachable as possible to my team, to ask for help and assistance if they need it. But I also like to be able to sort of trust them to be able to do their own thing and be left to their own sort of devices without me having to sort of breathe down their neck and check what they're doing every 5 seconds as well.
Yeah. How are you personally coping with COVID, working from home for like 7-8 months now? And also, how are you managing your team virtually?
For me, it's actually been quite good for me. I've got 2 very young children, and I had just finished my maternity leave for my second son when sort of lockdown happened. So I started back at work, and I've never actually ended up back in the office. It's just, you're back at work, you'll be working from home for the foreseeable. The way that my company works, they're very flexible anyway with me, because of my childcare, and because I live quite far away from our head office, so I was working from home 2 days a week anyway. So it's really just increasing how I work from home. With these sort of software we have now, like Microsoft Teams and Zoom, it makes it a lot easier to be able to do sort of virtual calls and and sharing screens and working on bids together still than it would have been a few years ago. So I mean, very thankful for that and for the sort of infrastructure that our IT department has put in place to help with that. But yeah, it means I've been able to spend a little bit more time with my children, because I'm not travelling to and from the office, so I get to pick them up earlier and take them to nursery a little bit later. So, but it also means, and I'm sure everyone knows what I mean when I say, when you work from home, it makes it a little bit harder to sort of turn off and finish work at 5 o'clock, and you find yourself still replying to emails at 8 in the evening, starting a little bit earlier, because there isn't that sort of strict routine that you're used to when you go into an office and travel into an office. So yeah, I do find myself working probably more than I would have done if I wasn't working from home.
Totally there. And in your busy career, as we touched early on, not being a member, not being awarded by APMP, you also went on to complete all 3 levels of certification. How long did it take for you to do foundation, practitioner, and all the way to professional?
Well, I did my foundation in 2012. So, I mean, pretty soon after I discovered APMP and that there were accreditations in my profession, I'd already been working in bids for 6 years. So I sort of did my foundation level straight away as soon as I'd found that out. Then in 2015, I did my practitioner. It took me quite a while. It was back in the day where you had to write the PPAQ. It took me a year or 2 to actually finish writing that whilst I was working, because I was so busy with work. And then in 2019, I did my professional. I was actually awarded a scholarship, the APMP scholarship that year to complete that professional qualification. So I was really grateful for that. And yeah, I probably took me about 6 months to complete the professional piece as well.
Wow, that's brilliant. And very few people went through all this, that too at the very young age as you, Kathryn, which is good, amazing. Last question from me before Ashley takes over. Is there any memorable incidents or stories that you have either attending APMP conference or contributing to APMP, in article, blogs, or any events comes to your mind?
Probably the biggest event is when I actually did my professional presentation last year for the APMP Professional exam. I was actually 9 months pregnant at the time. So it was quite a race against the clock to actually get that accreditation finished and all the coursework I needed to do for it, and the interview, be able to have it done in time before I had my baby.
Nice. And did you name your baby as professional? What's the name of your children? Nice.
I should have. It should have been his second name.
Exactly. What a memorable moment, that one. Thank you, Kathryn.
Wow, Kathryn, it's been amazing hearing about your career and all of your achievements and APMP awards. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about you as a person. We're curious, what do you do in your downtime, if you have any? Like, what do you do to wind down? What are your hobbies, interests?
So I do have quite limited downtime, actually.
Yeah.
with my I've got 2 sons, so I've got a 1-year-old son and a 3-year-old son, so they're quite a handful, especially during lockdown when their nursery was closed, and was sort of juggling looking after them with my husband and working full time still. But I do like to, when I'm not working or when I'm not looking after them, I do try and go running 3 times a week. So I am into running. I don't enjoy a lot of fitness, but running is something I do enjoy. So that's probably the main thing for me. I also really enjoy eating out as well when restaurants are open, which I haven't been able to do for a while. So I'm looking forward to being able to do some fine dining once the restaurants open up again.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. So how have you been coping at home? Are you just cooking more and trying to mimic some of the things you like to eat out?
I'm not cooking. My husband's cooking. I can't cook. That's why I enjoy eating out.
That's so nice. So he's doing all the cooking at home.
Yeah. He's the cook of the house.
Nice. What is your favorite thing that he cooks for you?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Yum.
He makes a great spag bowl.
So we're going to delve into a little bit of the rapid fire questions round. So don't think too hard, no right or wrong answer, just quick and easy, okay?
Okay.
So if you were to be on a reality TV show, which one would you be on and why?
Made in Chelsea, I think, mainly because that's my favourite one. But also because they have lots of money and they don't need to work and they just live lives of luxury. So I think I'd quite enjoy that. I think I'd probably be able to manage not doing anything for a while and going on holiday all the time.
Sounds amazing. Do you think people should eat the fish they catch or just let them go?
Let them go.
Do you watch any sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek shows?
No. Sorry.
What is one common behavior that you wish people would just stop doing?
Talking on their phones whilst they're walking down the street. Or looking at their phones so they're not looking where they're going.
Right. Yeah. Not good. What trait do you like most about yourself?
Probably how headstrong I am. I'm quite headstrong. If I want to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah. Definitely need that with our profession.
Yeah.
Do you ever talk to yourself?
All the time. All the time. Either in my head or to myself out loud.
And what kinds of things are you saying to yourself?
Usually reminders. Kathryn, you have to remember to do this. Well, make sure you've done that. Have you done that? You've got to go and pick the boys up.
Have you ever switched places with your twin?
No. I'm afraid not.
So are you guys, just curious, are you identical or fraternal?
No, we're fraternal.
Okay, so it would be very difficult to switch places. Huh?
Yeah. Difficult, yeah.
What annoys you most about people?
Rudeness, being rude. No need for it.
If you were attending a Halloween party, what would your costume be and why?
I would probably go as a glamorous witch because I like wearing black, but I like being glammed up as well. So it'd probably be quite an easy costume to do.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the one childhood fear that you've not told anyone yet?
I have one that I have told everyone. I'm scared of snails. They're very scared of snails, and I always have been since I was a child.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a very irrational fear.
Yeah, they're gross for sure.
Yeah, they are.
What is on your bucket list?
I'd like to go to America. I haven't been to America yet. I'd love to go to America.
Oh, wow. Where would you go first in America?
New York.
It's a great city. Have you done any traveling?
Not this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my husband used to travel quite a bit before we had our children. We've been to Australia, New Zealand, Greece, all across Europe. But yeah, unfortunately, that's all had to be put on hold this year. And actually, since I've had my second son as well, I probably wouldn't be able to cope with 2 children on a flight.
Yeah, that would be quite difficult. So before kids and COVID, what is your most favorite place that you've been?
Probably New Zealand, because we had some, we had a brilliant time there. We made some great memories there.
Yeah, that's on my list. Of the places you've been, which place has the best food?
Maybe Cape Verde. We went to Cape Verde. There's some brilliant food there. Lots of really nice steak there.
Ooh, sounds delicious. So looking back, you've accomplished so much in your career, and I'm sure you've had a lot of people that have helped get you there. Who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and your career?
So probably in my career, I mentioned earlier that as a bid coordinator, I was very, very shy, lacking in confidence. And I had a sales director who came in that sort of looked after my whole team. And he kind of noticed something in me, but he also recognized how shy I was, and he would force me to present in meetings in front of people and sort of chair meetings, and I really at the time sort of hated him for it, but looking back, and even sort of not even looking back, I know he was doing it to get my confidence and build me up as a person. And I think if he had never done that, I would never have been where I am today. I would never have sort of been able to talk publicly or become a manager and manage people. And even though at the time I sort of was really sort of, I can't believe he's making me do this again. I was sweaty and hot and so anxious thinking about it. I mean, I'm eternally grateful for him doing that for me, and I've sort of thanked him, and sort of every now and then I'll send him a message and say, oh, I just did a presentation in front of 20 people. That's because of you. Yeah, he very influential to me. He was.
Oh yeah. And in your life, anybody kind of helped you get to where you are? Encouragement in life.
I'm very lucky that where I have worked, I've become very good friends with people who I've worked, and I've sort of stayed friends with them. People I've worked with, I've actually had as bridesmaids at my wedding, and sort of even though I know them in a professional capacity, some of them I've been friends with absolutely years, and they sort of are still people who will sort of be in my corner if I've need some advice for what I'm going to do with work, and even if I want to talk about a bid, they're still happy to talk to me about it.
Oh, that's so nice. We build those relationships with our coworkers sometimes because we're there so much and we go through so many hardships together.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. So what have you observed lately that reminded you that people are good?
Well, I think with it being Christmas time, there's lots of sort of goodness around. I mean, my company I mentioned earlier, Just Ask, we do a lot of sort of charity work. Despite the sort of hardships that everyone has had this year with COVID, our whole company has still bought and donated hundreds of Christmas presents to charities. The one we've done most recently is Demelza Care. We've donated food vouchers to communities as well that are suffering because of what's happened. And even, I mean, this is still along the Christmas theme. I went out the other day we've got a house down our road that has loads and loads of Christmas lights out. And they do it every year, and they don't, you put money in for charity, but it's brilliant for charity. But just being able to take my boys to be able to see that, it was just, I felt very emotional because we've not been able to do any of the normal Christmas things we would do. We've not been able to go and see a Santa. We've not been able to go and see the Christmas lights in London. So it was just so lovely to go and do it. And I just thought, what a lovely thing to do, that those people do that every year.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's so nice to do the little things that remind us of the holidays, and it's very different this year, and it's nice when people are making ways for us to experience the holidays.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So who is the kindest person that you know?
I'll probably have to say my husband, who's is very, very kind man. He can't do enough for people. He's kind to everyone he meets. He's lovely to everyone he meets. And that's why I married him, basically.
Oh, so sweet. So what is one personal trait that you like most about yourself?
I'd probably say we're headstrong again. It's I know what I want, and I'll do what I can to achieve that. And it's sort of something that's lent me well throughout the years, and although it's probably not the most attractive trait to other people, it's something that I like about myself, that I'm very persistent and very headstrong.
No, definitely. So, what is one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Probably be a little bit controversial here, but if I'd known what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have gone to university and sort of spent 3 years doing a degree that has nothing to do with my chosen career, that left me in a considerable amount of debt afterwards. At the time, sort of everyone's like, oh, you need a degree to get a job, but I've really not needed a degree for any of the jobs I've held.
Definitely. Yeah, it's something that, I can relate to a little bit, because, when you're going to university, most of the time you don't know what you want to do or what job you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you just pick something.
yeah, definitely. And I think there's so much pressure for young people to, you've got to do really well in your qualifications, you have to go to university, you have to get a degree, you've got to pass all your qualifications. I think there's so much pressure on young people to pass their exams and do really well. And I just think, there's things out there like apprenticeships and work experience that really they give you as much opportunity as you would if you didn't get so good grades. And getting good grades are not the be all or end all. Just because you don't pass and get A stars for all your GCSEs doesn't mean you're going to fail in life.
It's so true. So what is the best piece of advice that you've received, and who gave it to you?
Probably someone I used to work with called Phil. He gave me some good advice once, which was to always ask yourself the question when you're making a decision, does the value outweigh the cost? And I think that sort of question can be asked about anything that you're thinking about, whether you're buying, am I going to spend all this money on a nice pair of shoes? Or even in sort of work in bidding terms, and how you're going to put something forward to bid on, how you're going to write, how much time you're going to spend on something. I think it's a really good question to ask yourself.
Definitely, that's amazing advice. On a similar note, what advice would you give to, those individuals who are looking to pursue a career that's as successful as, the career that you have?
I think I would say, you've got to work hard. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just sort of come out of university or, start your first job and then, a year later you're going to become a director. It takes a lot of hard work. It's taken me a lot of time to hard work to get where I am today, and I've worked very, very hard to do it. And I think that's sort of the main bit of advice is be realistic and work hard, and good things will come.
Yeah, absolutely. None of it comes without working hard. And, I'm sure you've had lots of late nights and stressful times, and it wasn't easy to get where you are.
Definitely.
So what's next for you? What are you looking forward to in the future beyond, being able to travel again?
That's the main thing, actually, is being able to go on holiday, really. I'm obviously I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I mean, my spending the Christmas holidays not working, so my last day's on Monday. Really looking forward to spending time with my children, having that. Obviously it's going to be a small Christmas this year, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm just really looking forward to sort of seeing what happens next year, and hoping that things start changing and opening again, to be able to go out and see friends and see family that I haven't seen for so long. So yeah, just simple things this year, I suppose, because we've been deprived of so much this year, that looking forward to those little things hopefully next year, as long as everything starts improving.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can all relate to that. So Kathryn, is there anything about your life or your career that we didn't touch on that you'd like to kind of talk about before we end the podcast?
No, I think that's everything. I mean, yeah, we've gone through all my bid coordinator to bid director. My sort of the main market I've worked on is FM, all the different sets of FM. We've gone through that. So unless there's anything else that you'd like me to answer.
No, this is all about you, Kathryn. So if we've covered everything you'd like to cover, we'd just like to thank you so much for your time today. It's really been a privilege to have you with us at Scribble Talk. We wish you all the good health and happiness. Please continue to inspire the bid and proposal professionals around you and everyone else around you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Have a great Christmas with your family.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on this. It's been really, really enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathryn.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Pastor Sundram,
signing off.